I'm just gonna say Tsukasa is really fascinating.
He is. I love Tsukasa.
It's such a it's like when you drive by a car accident and you just kind of have to like stare at it, mesmerized. That is me watching Tsukasa.
Hello, I hope you haven't missed us. I'm here, me, with Cammy, and we're inviting you to climb up to the Shoujou Treehouse, where we stand, the shortest of kings.
Short king!
I hope you like our new cat. Short king! We're starting to try and get our own little format for Shoujou Treehouse, but if you've never actually encountered one before, this is episode 148 of a special episode of the Annie Chat Box, where me and Cammy kick out all the other members of the podcast, really, and have our own little get-together. It's fun, and it's great, because it's just me and Cammy, and no one else.
It's the castle shipping at its finest.
Oh, God. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. But yeah, we're going to start trying to use this cute little catchphrase that Cammy came up with 2 minutes before we started recording, where you can climb up with us to the Shoujou Treehouse, where we stand something. And this week it's going to be the shortest of kings, and that's Hanako-kun, because we're going to be reviewing and chatting about Jibaku Shounen Hanako-kun, or Toilet-Bound Hanako-kun, which is a show that Cammy actually did impressions on earlier this year. But I swooped right in and stole it as one of my favorite anime ever.
I don't think you stole it. You're allowed to love it. It's not stealing.
I know, but I feel like I stole the hosting capabilities of yourself, so I could be like, I want to stand on a taller soapbox.
Oh, might I say, yes, I prepped your soapbox. It is prepped with a lot of love. And just for this episode, I'm gonna put your soapbox on top of a toilet because I think that is appropriate.
I mean, I'd rather get on a soapbox and like something than last time we recorded when I got onto a soapbox to talk about everything I hated about CorpsyAnn. Even though I ended up liking CorpsyAnn, I hated it more than I loved it. I loved CorpsyAnn.
I'm trying to recall, did you actually like get on your soapbox in that episode? I watched it and I heard yeah.
I did in the spoiler room because I hate Tusk. So if you ever want to hear me angry, go on over and roll back to last week's episode where I talked about how men ruin everything. Which is why we have Shoujou Treehouse, where only women are allowed in.
Yay!
Which means technically I guess we could pull Lily on an episode at some point. Or we could pull like other women in the weebdom.
Lily always has exclusive invitation. I think that she just is at a higher level where she doesn't want to be trash that stands something. I feel like that's what she'd say.
That and she just doesn't want to watch anime. I think that, I feel like for her it's a punishment, which adds a fun perspective onto things, I guess.
There you go. I mean, it balances out because when she has her choice, she has you watch things like CorpsyAnn. So.
Which I totally recommend. Have fun. But today we're talking about a different anime. Like I mentioned before, Toilet-Bound Hanako-kun, or Jibaku Shounen Hanako-kun. It was animated by Studio Lerche, which I guess we're going to have a really fun conversation about later on, because Lerche has a lot of hits, and they also have a lot of misses. Mm-hmm. To name a few and not categorize them in any way, shape, or form, we have Asobi Asabase, Maho Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku, or Gakko Garashi, which were all either hits or misses. You can write us in and let us know which one you think they are. This aired in winter 2020, so actually this year. So we're doing something pretty recent for once.
Yeah.
We tend to jump all over the place nowadays, but this one was so important that we decided to do it today. When in reality what had happened was we had a completely different show lined up, and then we decided to do this one instead because it was easier.
You're not wrong. Nope, that's it, yes.
It'll still be a fun read, I promise. Let's go ahead and roll into the synopsis before we really start talking, I suppose. And Cammie can actually introduce herself, because I didn't let her do that earlier. Hey, Cammie.
Hey,
what's
up? I'm here, and we stand a short king, and I don't know, folks. Quarantine life is rough, so it's nice to be able to come together at times like this and just kind of gush about some anime and some short kings. Happy 420, y'all.
Oh, jeez.
That's it.
Quarantine brain is definitely getting to me today, and I'm so sorry for everyone who's listening. But we're going to try and make this fun. Starting with the synopsis, the famous 7 wonders that every school seems to have are a staple of Japanese urban legends. One of the most well-known of these tales is that of Hanako-san, the ghost of a young girl who haunts the school bathrooms. Kamome Academy has its own version of Hanako-san's legend. Rumors claim that if one successfully manages to summon Hanako-san, she will grant her summoner any wish. Lured by the gossip, many people have tried to call upon her, yet every attempt has failed. However, when Nene Yashiro, a girl hoping for romantic fortune, dares to summon Hanako-san, she discovers that the rumored girl is actually a boy. After a series of unfortunate events involving Nene's romantic desires, she is unwillingly entangled in the world of the supernatural, becoming Hanako-kun's assistant. Soon she finds out about Hanako-kun's lesser-known duty, maintaining the fragile balance between mortals and apparitions. So this is a really cool synopsis, actually.
Hell yeah.
It was much shorter before and just kind of leaned into the whole, gender swap thing, which honestly is almost a non-entity except for a small joke towards the very beginning. So really glad that they fleshed this out. Good on you, Anime List.
We are impressed with the work that you do. I am actually really glad that they go back and finesse their seasonal descriptions, because I've seen that with a couple shows where it'll have like one line or it's not even accurate. And then when we come back to review it, we're like, wait, this is a lot better than the last time I read it.
10 out of 10. So I guess we can go ahead and get started with what we think of the narrative or the story structure specifically of this particular little gem. Is there anywhere you wanted to get started specifically?
I feel like you and I have talked about this, and I mentioned it in Impressions as well, but I really feel like when I read the synopsis of this, and I read the first chapter of the manga before the show came out, I saw this as basically another really, really good manga that, you know, you can debate this. I think that it is very popular within, like, a female readership demographic, and I feel like it easily could have been among a swath of manga for this demographic that doesn't get anime adaptations because the anime market feels like this isn't what sells. So I'm just really happy that this got made in the first place. This is a unique storyline, and it targets like a demographic and a genre thing that I really enjoy, but I don't get to see anime adaptations of all the time. So like, I don't know who funded this or who made the choice, but like, I'm really happy that this did get an anime adaptation at all.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. We very rarely get things that are, one, targeted towards a specific audience without getting, I don't know, kind of jilted in the end, or two, that people are willing to actually go out and look and see. So I definitely agree with what you're saying there, what you're throwing down.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that we get to have something so unique. It makes me worried if we'll ever get a season 2. But I am happy that someone out there said, you know what, we could have gone with what sells, but instead we're going with something that may or may not appeal to what most people are watching anime for. And that's really cool. I liked it a lot. I guess we can really start pinpointing what some of those narrative pinpoints are that make it so unique. One is that, like, I think that the tone that the show starts out with is very interesting. And it changes definitely into something else completely as the show goes on. I think that's one of the things that makes it so interesting. I'd say that the first episode takes on a very comedic kind of air and kind of runs with it. It almost seems like a short skit show, kind of like Asabi Asabase. And then it kind of goes off in its own different direction and really starts looking at what makes an apparition, what makes a human, and how they interact in the physical world, as it were. And I think that it starts to really grace the outer surface of what it can really be if you were to read the manga, for example. But it definitely starts introducing more serious and terrifying issues.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, especially like you said, like in the beginning, it seems more of like almost a skit piece. It focuses primarily on interactions between the characters. And then we get this greater sense of world building, like towards the middle and especially near the end, which I think is honestly really cool. They honestly introduce a lot of like points in the world and plot points that I don't think are necessarily resolved by the end, but got me interested in basically everything that the show had to offer in all of its different tones. It also struck an interesting balance, which I know we'll debate about, but like between the kind of lighthearted comedy bits and then the darkness that's under the surface. I know that you mentioned that before we started recording. And I think that might be different in the anime to the manga. But I don't know. It was. I enjoyed both parts of it, I will say. There were a lot of jokes in this show that like made me laugh really hard. And then some of the heavy hitting stuff still was intriguing and could hit heavy. So I enjoyed that a lot. I enjoyed the tone of the show, like you said.
I agree. I think that one of the problems I do have with the narrative, though, and I think this gets a little bit more smoothed out. I'm going to be that guy, and I'm going to do it so many times during this episode, but if you read the manga, I think that Hanako-kun is one of those unfortunate examples of it's an advertisement to go read the manga.
Yeah.
In a lot of aspects. But I think that there are parts where they introduce some, I don't know how to explain it really, some tools, and then they show you that those tools are there and they're on the table and you could use them at any time, but then they don't go back and ever pick them up and use them because they never get to that point in the story. And I think that in some cases that can work fine, but in some cases you'll be left confused. I think especially with Mitsuba as a character, for example.
Yeah.
There are some particular parts of his storyline that aren't fleshed out as well as they should have been, and then you just get kind of confused if you're an anime-only watcher. And I know that a lot of people were either really confused by those kind of portions, I think it's closer to the middle of the end of the show, and some people were intrigued. And I think that those people that are intrigued will probably go and pick up the manga, and good for you, but the people that it loses aren't going to finish the show, and I think that that's sad. And
yeah, for sure.
One of the problems I have with the narrative.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and I'm also glad to know that it wasn't that I necessarily disliked where the story went, considering like Mitsuba's character, but I was like, I definitely feel like I'm missing something that would be fulfilled if I read the manga. So I just had that like little lingering thought on my shoulder the entire time. But as you said, people will make a choice to read the manga or not, and I definitely do want to read the manga. So, I mean, while I think standalone, the anime wasn't the smoothest, I think especially for me in regards to pacing, it did at least successfully intrigue me to the source material, so that's a plus, I guess.
Good for you. You achieved your purpose, Hanako-kun. Good job. Pat on your back, brah. But yeah, I'd agree that in that regard that, like, it does its job if you are inspired, but if it doesn't do its job, you're just gonna end up kind of confused.
Yeah, for sure.
And as a result of that as well, I'll get into this in characters, but a lot of characters get shafted because of the chip-choppiness of the story that kind of occurs after episode 5. There are some cuts before episode 5 that I thought, oh, maybe they'll bring back later, but they never do. For example, a lot of development for Ko's character is just completely cut out, which is unfortunate because he's a beautiful angel of a boy and he deserves better. But it's just they decided they had to make cuts somewhere, and unfortunately, some of those are parts of the story that make it make sense.
Yeah, that's yeah. I hope people will read it. I'm certainly gonna read it.
Yay! Yeah. I don't have to sing a cover anymore.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was on the table. Well,
can't take it back now. No takesy backses.
Yeah, I think really narratively, I think my biggest takeaways or my biggest criticisms were, as you said, some things just felt a little bit confusing, and there were arcs and characters that, well, I don't know if they were necessarily arcs, but there were parts of the story that I felt like I would have more emotional attachment to, but I didn't necessarily get a chance because everything felt extremely compressed together.
Yeah.
And I'll be completely honest, a lot of that is Mitsuba. I was, like, very excited about Mitsuba's character because of, like, art I'd seen and stuff, and I do enjoy, like, what I'd seen on the surface, but I was like, I want, like, more time with this. I want this to be developed a little bit more and checked out. And then also in the show, just to go back on the tone, sometimes they'd reveal something extremely serious and then, like, immediately follow up with a joke. And I don't know. And I guess that was more of an anime adaptation choice. And yeah, sometimes that was a little bit jarring.
Yeah. When they finally introduced the antagonist and the antagonist posse as well, I feel like they're very much just kind of introduced. They do one bad thing and then they're just kind of looming in the background.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, to be fair, I feel like that also happens a lot in the manga as well. Though in the manga, it's almost always a foreboding threats. Like, you never know what's going to happen next. Whereas in the anime, it almost just felt like they were a non-entity unless they were on screen. They never explain the broadcasting room. Tsukasa is a character that shows up later, who I will not spoil for you who he is, but he's introduced in a way that he's like the chaotic kind of counterpart of the show, and he hardly gets any screen time. And when he does, it's just very brief. It's impactful, but it's brief. Yeah. And it's just, they set up so many intriguing things and then never give you any real follow-up in some aspects of the narrative, mostly to do with characters, their motivations, and really what their outcomes are. It's all kind of up in the air. Yeah,
definitely. A positive in the story that I can say, it's weird for me to use the term pacing again, but I really like the pacing of the way that Hanako and... Do you call her Yashiro or Nene? I never know which one I should say.
I always call her Yashiro because that's what Hanako calls her, but that's her name is Nene. Yeah. I mean, I know that I guess it just depends on who you want to refer to her from whose perspective. Because you got her good friend Aoi, and she's always like Nene, and she's great and perfect. And then you've got Hanako, who's always going, Yashiro!
Yes. I'll go with Yashiro then. But I really liked the development of Nene and Yashiro's relationship with each other. To me, it felt... There's so many shows that I think would take the aspect of, like, their relationship and just drag it endlessly and to, like, frustrating levels. And this show, they were like, no, we're not gonna waste time with, like, too much of that bullshit. Like, their relationship is well paced. I never felt like, oh my gosh, I'm so irritated at, like, what's going on. I genuinely like their interactions. I like the way that they communicate. As it escalates and changes, it's all, like, faced head on instead of, like, oh, we're gonna linger on this miscommunication for 5 episodes, you know? So that was actually something that I found really refreshing, even in this show and in this genre. I think there are a lot of other shows in this genre that would, like, drag out those sort of character dynamics and relationships, but I like the way that it was developed in the anime. Granted, it's probably even better in the manga, but it was a positive that I went away from with the anime.
I think that the show in general does a really good job of at least establishing relationships. I would say some are better established than others. For example, like what you said, Hanako and Yashiro's relationship is multifaceted. There's so much stuff going on, but when there's a misunderstanding, they're able to talk to each other, they're able to communicate, and even when things get to a point where their relationship is in a tricky place, like they have a conversation about it, which doesn't happen a lot in shows, and especially in romantic comedies, because you can definitely tell there's something there.
Yeah.
But it's complicated, and that's why they never really get around to talking about everything, but they're taking their sweet time, but in a way that's not frustrating. Yeah. Because they themselves as characters are choosing to take that kind of conversation and learning about each other slowly. I think that the tension between Ko and his brother is established well. Unfortunately, it doesn't go anywhere from there because they made a bunch of cuts, but they established that tension well. They established where Ko's confusion was going to be coming from, but then they kind of dropped the ball there. I think that Mitsuba and Ko were established well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll say the same. Yeah.
Especially because it is the really complicated, I feel like the story between them is just so very unique because you don't get it very often. Like, the point of view of somebody being like, man, we could have been friends, like, if we had ever communicated. Mm-hmm. It's just very tragic and soft, and I have a lot of feelings about it. But again, like, everything's so well established, but they don't necessarily commit to the bit, and I think that's mostly because they had only so many episodes.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely correct. Yeah, I really liked the first episode surrounding Mitsuba and Ko, and then kind of through the rest of it, I was like, I don't fully know where you're going with this. I don't know if you know where you're going with this. And like you said, probably just based on limitations of episode count.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think this show could have successfully been like a 24 or 26 episoder?
I wish it could have been. I think that I'll talk more about where I would feel about that in the production section, because I think like the production of the show could only have lasted for 12 episodes because it was already falling apart.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
But I think that one of the things that's great about Hanako-kun is that while I do like that they committed to a very specific aesthetic, I think that was something that was both a plus and a minus of the show. Mm-hmm. I think that if we take the production out of it, I think that this story easily could have gone for 20-something episodes and would have benefited from it because there's so much of the manga that's out already. They had plenty of source material. Mm-hmm. I think that the reason either that they chose to only keep it one core is because one core is easier to sell and it's it's less of a commitment. It's less of a chance of failing. That's why we get so many one core shows.
Yeah.
And also, you mentioned it at the beginning of the show, like, we don't get this kind of show very often. It's very risky that Hanako-kun came out in the first place. So
that's true.
In a perfect world, I would have loved to have had, 20-something episodes, but you can tell it didn't have the best budget to begin with. And I don't know if it would have sold as a 2-core show. But would I have liked it? Hell yeah, please.
Very true. Very true.
Please, pretty please, season 2, please, make it, I hope this was successful, so maybe we'll get a season 2, that'd be great, but I actually have no clue how successful, I don't even know how successful the manga is, to be completely honest. It seems popular to me, but then again, I'm just following a ton of Hanako-kun blogs, so what do I know?
Well, then it's also like, I'll look into it later, but also like, is the studio that's behind it, Lerche, known to do sequels or not? Because I think sometimes that also plays into it. And so it's like, are we dealing with more of a one-core style studio or not? But I'm crossing my fingers because I would also love to see more of this animated.
I would too. I think that the story of the Hanako-kun anime is fine. It's not why I would recommend the show to people. Because it's all over the place. It's messy. And I think I would warn people of that. Like, I would say, listen, this show is really messy. But there are parts of it that are really, really stand out. And we'll get into that when we talk about characters and production. Mm-hmm. I don't think that... I would say that I think the narrative is a good selling point for the manga.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But for the anime itself, I think that the narrative is okay. It's a good starting point. It's good at establishing the world. It's good at establishing what there is to like about Hanako-kun. It just kind of loses gas halfway through.
So it's more like the premise is very strong. The overarching narrative is a little weaker. Yeah, I get that.
Which, by the way, is not how I feel about the manga. Go read the manga. I guess we can slip into characters now because I really want to gush about Yashiro with you because she's great.
Yes. Oh, okay. We should start at Yashiro then because I'm ready to go.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I love Yashiro.
Yashiro is so good. I think this is something that you told me early on when you were watching. And I think it's a quality that I really love about Yashiro as well, is that she is thirsty. And I love and admire that so much. That is a very, like, that quality of hers is so true to, like, teenage girl, like, I related to that when I thought about, like, when I was her age, and I enjoy it because it's relatable, and it's also something that, even amidst, like, shoujos and stuff, you don't always see. I feel like sometimes they try to make shoujo leads, like, too modest or, like, too perfect and stuff. All of Yashiro's, like, little quirks, and you could even just call them flaws to me, are just very earnest and realistic, and I love her for it. Like, there's also the fact that she just gets into a lot of trouble by making stupid decisions. but I'm like, I can't not love her because she just feels like a very earnest personality. And I think that she does care a lot about people. She does care a lot about people. There are a lot of times where she is thinking about other people and what they're dealing with, or she notices when someone does something, like, kind to her, and she's just really lovable and really cute and really funny and really relatable, and I don't even know where I could go from there. So please, step on up on that soapbox of love.
I think I watched episode 1 of Hanako-kun, and the reason that I became obsessed with it was because of Yashiro. Because I watched the entire first episode, and I was like, I'm in this picture, and I don't like it. and it's because, like, a lot of the ways that she views relationships and men, and that she realizes that in some ways her thirst for a relationship is just a means to an end. Like, that's just so unique to see a character actually come to terms with.
Yeah.
And also makes you look at yourself and go, man, I've been there.
Yep.
I've just wanted to be with somebody, especially when you get out of, like, a hard relationship, or after you've, tried to make yourself perfect for someone for so long and then they reject you. Of course you're going to go on the rebound. It's just really real to see somebody like her. But then not only does she have those flaws, but she recognizes them by, like, the end of episode 1. And she confronts them and isn't... And the thing is, she realizes that she never fucking learns.
Yeah.
Like, she constantly is having this internal monologue of, man, I'm an idiot, but this is who I am. And she continues going on. And I think that Hanako-kun as a foil for her and as her, like, buddy in arms is really funny because he constantly is pointing out all of these little flaws that she has in an almost teasing manner. And it just makes their relationship that much more fun to see on screen. Also, her character design is super cute. I love everything about Yashiro. I love her and Aoi's relationship. You get more of that in the manga, too.
I want it. God, I love Aoi's character design so much.
I love Aoi. She actually is getting her own arc in the manga currently. Small spoiler. It's in, like, the chapter 60s, but she's getting her own arc, and it's intense. Anyway,
very excited.
But yeah, I love, and that's another thing. Like, there's an arc where Aoi's life is in danger, and she immediately is like, I've got to go and save her. I've got to do something to help my friend, because my friend has done all of these little tiny things to help me, and I love her. And she's just so genuine and, like you said, earnest. And Yashiro's just a good girl.
She is.
And she's not a Mary Sue. She's just a good girl.
Yes, exactly. Like, I really would be hard-pressed to find somebody who watches the first episode of this or reads the first chapter and just, like, dislikes Yashiro. I'd be like, how? How can you? She's so good. Yeah. Also, again, I think it's a testament to a good character when my favorite characters in a show end up being the main characters instead of necessarily, like, a side character like I tend to. But yeah, in the case of Hanako-kun, I think my favorite characters are the two leads, which would lead us to your favorite character and current icon.
We stand a short king.
Yes!
I love him. I love how much of a jerk he is. I love that he's a sweetheart one minute and then a total sadist the next. I love that he knows how to crack a good joke. I love that he's unbearably in love with Yashiro. My heart hurts. And I think that, like, one of the things that they get across very well in the show, and one of the things I forgot to bring up in the narrative, is that for a show that's labeled Hanako-kun, we don't really get to know much about him. He's almost constantly stooped in this constant mystery, basically. But they do drip feed you a lot of stuff about him, and a character that's literally telling somebody to run around a corner with toast in her mouth in episode 1 is dealing with some deep-seated drama by episode 7. Like, it's really intriguing, and I think that the anime does a really good job of making Hanako an intriguing character. Because now you have to think, like, what makes him tick? Why is Tsukasa such a trigger for him? What is going on? And some other stuff that I don't really want to go into, because spoilers. But I think that Hanako is probably the most intriguing character in the show, and considering the show is named after him, if you didn't do that, then you did something wrong.
Absolutely. He is so enjoyable, and I mean, the whole reason I initially got very excited to see this show when it was coming out is you see a poster with Hanako-kun on it. Like, he just looks and oozes intrigue, I think. And that comes through in the show. I think he's incredibly enjoyable and one of the most fascinating characters in the show. Whether, like you said, he's on his teasing side, whether he is really, really sweet and making me feel things, or whether I'm just like, ow, this hurts. Like, all those different aspects of him are so fun and interesting, and I could just, like, eat it up for, like, 100 hours. Just like the Hanako show. He's so petty and jealous, too. That's so fun.
Yes. Like, he's just a perfect character. He's a perfect Cassie character. He may not be a perfect character, but he ticks all my boxes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, some of them several times over. Like, the only thing he's missing is some silver hair, and, you know.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, I think the other thing that I really love about him is he is funny. A lot of the comedy of the show is dependent on his actions or reactions to things, and how he propels Yashido forward, sometimes literally, and off a cliff. He's the car that keeps driving her to be in the situations that she's in, and I think as a duo as well, they do really well together.
Absolutely.
They have great chemistry. They're really funny. They're very sweet. I feel like I just want to watch them forever and ever. They are the sweet OTP.
I need that Crush AMV to be completed, by the way.
One day.
Like, please, it's going to be so good. But yes, I agree completely. Another thing that I will say on the cast of characters, though, also, is there are very few characters in this show, like, unless they've done something that I dislike. I'm not really bored by any of them. I find a lot of them really fun, even if it's just on a surface level. Like, even characters like, I don't know his name, but the keeper of, like, the library with he's got, like, the spider arms.
Yeah. My brain just short-circuited. I know exactly who you're talking about, and I love him.
I love him!
Yoshimori or something like. I'm gonna find it.
Like,
find it.
We don't even see that much of him, but, like, I love him. I would love to see more scenes of him. I love his voice. I think it's, like, perfect for his character design. Even the Kitsune, I think, is funny, if anything, just for the udon jokes, which I love. And then I love the little pink, like, bunny rabbit spirit thingies that I'm also forgetting the name of.
Shuchigamori? That's his name.
Okay. Yes. Like, I love him, and how long is he even on screen for? I love Ko also. Even and that's, again, a shafted character who I figure that I'm gonna love, like, 10 times as much and appreciate even more upon reading the manga. But even then, just the initial way that these characters are presented, they're all fun, they're really interesting, and they're intriguing. And I think that the characters, for me, probably are the strongest part of this show. I don't know your thoughts on that.
I mean, I'd agree.
Yeah.
They're the part that's fun. They're the part that I want to see more of. I don't care that they're chip-chopping the manga to shreds because they kept the uniqueness of the characters intact. That is something that this production did well. All of the characters are fun and interesting. Unfortunately, some of them are entirely interesting, and you'll never see them more than 5 times on screen. And that's unfortunate, especially, like, for example, with I can never pronounce his name, Tsuchigimori, the teacher, because he obviously is one of the few characters we have that knew Hanako-kun when he was alive. And we're drip-fed stuff about that, too, that we're never gonna get. But, I mean, all of them are really cool and interesting, and I love them. They're precious. It's probably one of my favorite casts since, like, Run with the Wind.
Yeah. That's well put.
I love them. I just want them to be okay, and I know they can't all be okay, and that's what makes me so anxious.
Oof. Ow.
Yeah, you sit there and you're like, I ship this human girl with this ghost boy. It's never gonna work. Oh no, it's never gonna work.
Oh no. I ship a few things, and I guess we could get into that in a very brief spoiler room. But yes.
Perhaps we can. But yeah, I'd agree. I don't know if there's any other characters I really want to shed specific light on right now, because I feel like Hanako and Yashiro are the best characters. And any other characters that I might be interested in talking on, it would be spoilery. Like, for example, Tsukasa and a few others.
I'm just gonna say Tsukasa is really fascinating.
He is. I love Tsukasa.
It's such a... It's like when you drive by a car accident and you just kind of have to, like, stare at it, mesmerized. That is me watching Tsukasa.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But yeah. And I know a lot of other people really liked Ko as well, and I loved Ko. I love Aoi, even though she's barely there. I want to know so much more about her, so I'm so happy that she's got more screen time. I thought I wouldn't enjoy a green-haired girl at all, but, like, she's also interesting. Like,
I love Sakura. We stan a goth queen.
Yeah, no, she's very good. I enjoy her. So that's just it. Again, I think really with Hanako-kun, there's just something about, like, excellence in premise and introduction, at least for the anime. Because, like, again, you don't get a full resolution and depth on all of these characters, but from what you see, it's really intriguing. It's really enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, that's one of the things that I love about, just to have a moment, just to pop onto my soapbox real quick. Another reason I really love the manga, because a lot of characters that you think are just side characters become extremely important. Aoi is more than just the best friend character. She's getting an entire arc. Akane, the boy who's, like, hopelessly in love with her and seems to be there just as, a joke. Yeah. He also becomes one of the main characters. It's all...
That's awesome.
They're all important, and you should read the goddamn manga.
I think I know what this episode title's gonna be.
Please read the manga. Listen, there's always going to be that one show that everybody has where you're going to plead to everyone to please read the manga, and nobody actually will. That's Hanako-kun for me. Except for maybe Cammy will read it now.
Yeah, but... no, like, I want to read it. I don't know if Rin also reads it. Probably will. Yeah.
Oh, me and Rin read it together. It was great.
See? There you go.
I love this.
Network.
I love this.
Network.
Network.
You are going to have a network.
I've saved up all of my goodwill for this very purpose.
It's
cashing it all in.
Does Lily read manga?
No.
Damn it.
And she wouldn't read Hanako-kun. I would have to, like, beg her on my hands and knees. Like, she watched the first episode with me, at least.
There you go.
And I was really happy about it. She's like, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And I was like, what is that supposed to be?
Yeah. Yes, I feel you. But yes, no, there are people, and I know other people that love the manga as well. So I think for people who do read it, it's extremely well loved, and hopefully just their recommendations will, and hopefully even the anime successfully being an initial introduction might turn to reading it.
Yes. I hope so. But I guess we could probably move into production.
I mean, since we were talking about the manga.
Yeah!
It circles back yet again.
The source material is great. Read it. I'll stop saying that. But one thing I did mention earlier was I loved Yashiro's character design, and I love everyone's character designs.
Absolutely. Seriously. Everyone is just packed with so much personality, and, like, not even necessarily just, like, what they're dressed in, how their hair looks, how their faces look. Their expressions are also so fun, I think. And I love all of the character designs. big props to the manga. It's good. It's good. I like it a lot.
I love that all the characters have these thick black lines around their, like, character designs. I love how very aesthetically pleasing, not just the character designs, but the backgrounds are. There's a shot, an episode, I think, like, 2 or 3, where they go into, like, the first boundary, and it's just a bunch of staircases, but it's so pretty.
Yes. That had, like, and it was, like, kind of in the galaxy or something, too. I remember that. That looked really nice. I love the backgrounds. They are absolutely beautiful. I love how some of the shapes are more abstract to kind of match the very bold and, like, striking art style, and in the character designs, like, when they animate, like, lens flares or sun rays, they're not, like, perfect circles. They're kind of, like, cubed a little bit around the edges, which, like, I really like. And like you said, the lines are really bold and thick. I like it. Like, I like it and I don't like it. The art on a whole, which we will get into. But something that I think you and I both talked about when we first watched this is that it seems like they were trying to take a route of saving the, like, aesthetic value of the manga art style in sacrifice for animation. And that is a debatable point for a lot of people. When I at least first started watching it, I still think I am more happy with that choice. Like, I fell in really easily to, like, kind of the moving manga work, like the use of panels and, like, scanning stills and stuff. Would I have loved to see it, like, more fluid? Hell yes. But also, I think you did have to make a compromise just with how bold the art style is here. And I'm glad they didn't go for something more generic that would move a little better, I guess.
And I'd agree in most situations. I do feel a little sad at times because you know that they do have the ability to make something... Like, there are small bits of Sakuga and Hanako-kun. Yes. Yeah. They're just very few and far between. Like, there's a scene in episode, again, it's like 2 or 3, maybe 4, I don't remember, when they go to the Misaki stairs, but he runs and kicks a pair of scissors, and I was like, wow, we actually got animation for, like, 2 seconds. What?
Yeah. Oh, it's so true.
What? Is that where the entire budget of the show went? What?
In episode, like, 9 or 10, at the end of it, there's a scene of Mitsuba crying that is, like, really nicely animated, like, with full just, like, movements and gestures and stuff, like, little motions, and I was like, oh, shit, this is great. Imagine if the whole thing. But not, unfortunately.
Sad day. But I do like that if you take a still image of most of this anime, with a big asterisk next to it, it does look aesthetically pleasing in stills. Like, everything looks really pretty, especially, like, the backgrounds. And in some situations, the character designs really just, chef's kiss. And then there are, you know, some episodes where even that can't really save it. It looks terrible. But they did their best with what they had, and I'm happy that they tried to commit to an aesthetic. I liked that they kept using the red flowers all the time, because those show up in the manga everywhere. I like that they kept, like, how very round everybody's faces are. I like that these are kids and they look like kids. And I mean that in as little of a creepy way as I possibly can.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I agree.
I like that... Yeah, I like that there aren't, 13, 14-year-olds running around with big jiggly boobies, even though they made a joke about that at one point.
Yeah.
I like that this isn't a fan service show. I like that I enjoyed watching it every week, and I wanted to see what they would do every week. Even if sometimes it didn't look as good as I had wanted.
Yeah, I think the only time that I ended up frustrated is in some episodes, which again, I will say was probably somewhere between like 7 and maybe like 10 or 11. There were times that it was absolutely still, and they just had weird like alignment of like the eyes and the way that the faces looked janky to me. And like, I'm not someone who's extremely artistic, but I was also like, this isn't moving. So I do wish like you could have put a little more effort into making even like these stills look polished. But again, like I understand how demanding the anime industry is, so it's not something that is a huge complaint. It's just a minor thing that I noticed, and I also bet it might be fixed on Blu-ray release as well, since they'll have more ample time to be able to make those adjustments than following a TV schedule, which is probably a nightmare.
Yep. One thing I do want to talk about briefly is the voice acting.
Yes!
Because I watched this in Japanese all the way through, and I've watched half the series over again because I don't have a problem in English. And I really like both the English and the Japanese voices for Hanako. And I am extremely biased on both. So in Japanese, Hanako is voiced by Ogata Megumi, or Megumi Ogata. And they voice many a Danganronpa character. And I love them. Makoto Naegi being one of them, which is the main character of the first game. But also Nagito, the crazy kid from the second game with the white hair that I'm so in love with. It's the same person. And when Hanako opened their mouth, because here's the thing, I am not very good at recognizing Japanese voice actors. I can admit that most of the time when I hear Sugita, no idea. But this character, I lost my shit when I heard them open their mouth the first time. I ran to my computer and I was like, is this who I think it is? And of course they also voice Tsukasa, with just a slightly different inflection. Now, in English, Hanako is voiced by Justin Briner, who also does the voice of Deku. Which is very funny to me, because my beautiful little green son in this show literally looks at the screen at one point and goes, "It's a little bit sexy." And I lost my mind. I just wanted to highlight that specific thing. But I think that the Japanese voice cast was perfect. I think that the English dub is good and bad. So
good and bad. Okay. Better than all bad.
The English voice actress who did Yashiro, I'd have to look up her name because I didn't come prepared, but she's perfect. Like, Yashiro and Hanako are both perfect in both versions, in my personal opinion.
Yes.
Everybody else is either okay or bad. Ko sounds like a middle-aged man in English.
Yeah, I accidentally started an episode in English, and I heard Ko, and it was very jarring.
Yeah, and, like, in the Japanese, like, there's a very specific relation between Hanako and Tsukasa, so them using the same voice actor in Japanese makes a lot of sense. They did not do that in the English version.
What?
And again, Tsukasa sounds like a 30-year-old man.
Oh, no.
I can't. And he's supposed to be the childish character. You don't get a deep voice character for Tsukasa. I'm sorry.
Wow. Okay, yeah. I don't know.
I'll get you a clip. I'll get you a clip later. But again, these are all my personal opinions. I can't say I don't recommend the English dub because I think that the script is really funny. They try, like for example, I guess soft spoiler, but in episode 1, Yashiro does this thing where she leaves some summer vegetables and a note on her crush's desk, and all of the people around them are like, "Hey, did you help a fox or something?" in Japanese. And in English, they were like, "Dude, did you help a vegan cross the street or something?" And I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
So they do a really good job, and they had a lot of fun with the scripts. I just was not taken with every single one of the English voices. Now, the Japanese cast, perfect.
Yes.
Chef's kiss. I loved everyone.
Yes, I absolutely have to agree. I recognized Megumi Ogata, because she was Sailor Uranus in Sailor Moon and Shinji in Evangelion. And I was just like, ooh, I hear Shinji, but like this personality is a little bit different from Shinji. It's fun. And like you said, just the level of nuance that she performs both Hanako and Tsukasa with, to me, is just so impressive because they both sound so convincing and compelling and different from each other. And I'm just like, that takes skill, ma'am. And clearly she is one of the greats. And she definitely contributed to how enjoyable both of them are as characters. And like,
you know what?
Yeah.
You know what? I know where all the budget went. What am I talking
Oh my god! Yes! Casting choices.
It all went to Megumi Ogata. And you know what? I wouldn't tell them to change that choice.
No.
Good on you.
If I need a reason to convince someone to check out the anime, even if they've already read the manga, I'll be like, but listen to Megumi Ogata voice Hanako. Like, there you go.
Perfect.
It's so good. And I liked Yashiro's voice actress a lot, too. I think that both of those cast members specifically really made a lot of the humor in this show really effective as well. Some of the joke timing was just so funny, like their tones of voice. And I loved it. I loved it. And I feel like, I don't know it right off the bat, but I feel like Ko was also voiced by someone prolific. And I think Sakura was as well. They just all sounded very familiar, and they all sounded like very successful performers in the industry, because clearly they are. That came through in the Japanese dub of the show.
Yep. And I'm like slowly scrolling to see who each of them were, but I don't know. I should have come better prepared.
Let's see.
I will say that Ko was also the lead in our favorite show, Suki Gakire.
Okay. Great.
I mean, if anything, voice acting was not my problem with that show.
Yeah. It's true. That's true. Oh, man. Just voice acting performance was really good, and I do think that you need to have a really successful voice cast, especially if you're going to do a show that has minimal animation. So,
yep.
Yeah, good on them for that. That's something that counterbalances it.
I really like the music in the show, too. I think that it's okay. I don't think it's, like, the best soundtrack I've ever heard, except the ED. The ED is my favorite thing in the world. I watched it every single time. Like, the opening is fine. It's okay. We can talk about the opening in a second, but the ED is where they really got artistic. When you actually try and look at it and think about what it's trying to say, it's just freaking heartbreaking.
Yep.
The whole near shore and far shore thing, how very red everything is, and just the song, just I cried the first time I watched it. Like, it's just so good. That ED, should have been the opening.
Yeah, I could see that, definitely. And they did my favorite thing, which is where they would start playing it at the end in all these emotional scenes, and I'm just like, fuck you, I hate this. I think it hurt.
I feel so emotionally manipulated.
I think it hurt me the worst in an episode where it's just a scene with, like, Ko on his bed looking through some photos, and it hurt really bad. Oh, good God.
Ouchies.
Yeah,
right in my feel-goods.
Lots of ouchies, and I agree with you. The more that I learned of the story, and then I'd watch the ending each time, and it just, like, hurt each time as I understood more and more of the, like, purpose and what they're doing with the imagery, and it just, it's beautiful. I agree. It's wonderful.
The opening's
Did you know
it's a lot of reused animation?
Yeah, that's honestly probably my biggest issue with it. I think the song is catchy enough. Did you know it's sung by the guy who did the opening for Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun?
That I did not know. That's cool.
Yeah, Get came in one day. He's like, hey, fun fact. You know how the band is like Jibaku Shounen Band or whatever? The lead singer is the same guy who's in blah, blah, blah and did the Nozaki-kun opening. And I was like, that's fucking cool. Because it's so stylistically different than the other.
Yeah, extremely.
Yeah.
Now I gotta go re-listen to it. But the song is good. Like, it really sets the mood for the kind of show it is. And, like, the parts of the opening that aren't reused animation, I actually like a lot. Like, there's the part where he's, like, peeking around from the inside of the bathroom stall. Or there's a scene where Yashiro's talking with Aoi and just, them doing their thing. I liked that every episode when you found out a new apparition, it filled itself in the opening. That was cool. I like that as characters showed up in the show, they showed up in the shot with Sakura and the broadcast club. But everything else was just reused animation with a filter over it.
So the last shot of the opening mirrors the first shot of the opening. I'm just gonna say, was the last shot always the same? Because maybe I only noticed it after a certain character is revealed.
Yes and no. Here's the thing. The character that's at the end is always the same character.
Okay.
It's just that they're wearing different clothes after they are introduced. So it's still Hanako at the beginning and then a different character at the end. It's just much like in the show when they appear and they're wearing Hanako's outfit. After it goes away, it goes to the clothes they normally wear.
Okay, yeah, because that's something that, like, as soon as I had awareness, I was like, oh shit, has this been here the whole time? It probably has, and I just didn't notice. But yeah.
I mean, it's cool that they do that, though.
Yeah, definitely.
They're making you do that, so.
Yes. It reminded me of subtle changes in, like, Rakugo's, like, second opening and stuff. Granted, those ones scared me a lot more than these ones did. But still, I do like it when openings or endings can kind of change along with the story, and I'm happy that this opening had those details.
Same. It made me happy.
Yeah. I like the music, too. I think the soundtrack was serviceable for what it needed to be. Ending is phenomenal. Opening is pretty decent. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I really think that most of my issues with production just comes down to some sacrifices that had to be made in terms of animation or the art quality dipping a little bit. But the art quality dipping a little bit, I think, is just something that's a characteristic of almost any seasonal anime nowadays. There's got to be a little bit of a dip. And so I can't, I don't blame Hanako for that per se.
Yeah, it just is what it is. There were some glaring moments that frustrated me a little bit more than others. Like, when I noticed they, reused a frame, whatever. When, the faces didn't look all right or characters went off model, I was like, whatever. The thing that got me is in a couple of episodes, they had lip flaps moving when no one was talking. And I was like, why would you do that? You had to animate that. So you had to have known.
That's...
Why?
Yeah. That's very strange.
It was weird.
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't notice that because I feel like it would have driven me nuts.
It did drive me nuts.
Yeah.
And especially because it's in an episode that has a lot of emotional impact, which is episode 6. They just dropped the quality, which to be fair, I kind of get because episode 5 was really pretty. And it had
how gorgeous episode 5 was. Oh my god.
Episode 5 was one of the best looking.
Yes.
Episode 1 and episode 5, and then any episode that had Tsukasa in it for 2 seconds were some of the best animated episodes in the entire show. They just look so pretty. Episode 5 is probably my favorite episode in the entire show.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons, not just the animation, but I'll get to that later.
Yes.
Yeah, you wanna rate this sucker?
Sure, I can go ahead, and I'll go first since it is a you host and a you show. That sound good?
Sounds good to me, and you can do the recommendation too.
Yes, I got you. Okay, so I'm really, really glad that Hanako-kun was made. It's really just a breath of fresh air within the seasonal anime swath of shows that we see. Honestly, from almost every aspect, from its story, from how excellent its characters are and how intriguing they are, to the art style, it just brings something really fresh and unique, and I'm just so excited that I got the chance to see it. I do think that there are hang-ups to it, as there are almost any show. I think for me the biggest issues were a degree of a dip in quality of animation in times, and some apparently adaptation choices that left the pacing to feel a little bit rushed and compressed, and just a little bit confusing at points because they decided to switch some stuff around. But I mean, I can't tell you that I didn't have a really, really, really fun time watching this show. I love the characters, if our gushing wasn't enough to prove that to you. I'm going to go and read the manga, which means that it did get its job done. Yeah, yeah. I really liked the first chapter when I read it beforehand, but I didn't have that push. I do think the anime, even for all of its faults, just gave me the push to go check out the source material. So that in itself, in a way, I think is a win. Just from everything that I've heard from Cassie, and not only Cassie, other people as well, the only reason I'm not going to give it a love it is because I think that I would absolutely love the source material, and I don't think that the anime would stand up quite as well. So for me, it gets a high like it because I really, really, really enjoyed it a lot. But I also think that I'm going to enjoy the manga even more, if that makes sense. Yeah, so it gets a very high like it from me. I definitely think you should check it out, please. And if you do check it out, I will join Cassie. I'm going to stand up on the soapbox with her, read the manga. Just go ahead and do it. Do it.
For me.
Do it for Cassie. Me. Do it for Cassie. We love to make her happy around here. Go ahead and read that manga. And if you've already read the manga and you are wanting something to tide you over until the next chapter, then I will go ahead and recommend that you check out a little show called Noragami or Stray God. So Noragami, I thought about with Hanako-kun just because it has a female lead that meets a spiritual boy and gets caught up in a lot of shenanigans and ends up sort of tied to the spirit world, whether they really like it or not. It also does have a fun cast of spirit characters. There are little hints of like romantic comedy in there, but I will say I think Noragami is far more shonen based. There's a lot more about like action and stuff. But I also enjoyed that show a little bit. I think that if you want something that has a sort of similar setting to Hanako-kun, I think that Noragami is probably a good place to start. So we're going to go ahead and recommend that. It's also available on Crunchyroll and or Funimation, one of those two. So you could probably go find it. And also the manga's probably better than the anime as well. Oh no. Oh no. Cassie just put something in our...
I gave you a gift.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it and shut my mouth while you give your review of the show.
I am entirely biased of this show. I really love Hanako-kun. Like, everything that is wrong with it, and there are a lot of things that are, like, not even kind of wrong, that are objectively wrong with it, that I can look at and say, this is bad. I don't care because I'm so in love.
Yes!
Like, I just can't. Like, even though I have problems with the anime, I've already rewatched it with, like, 3 different people. I'm rewatching it myself in the English dub. Like, I just keep coming back to this anime. Even though I would say if I gave this a love it, I would give, like, the manga a love it plus.
A love it plus.
Like, yes. You have to pay premium to get to it. Like... Like, it's that important to me. Hanako-kun might be my favorite manga, and that's saying a lot. But the anime is also really, really good. I don't think it's necessarily going to be everybody's favorite anime, but not everybody... Well, nobody's going to have all the same favorite animes. That's silly. That's silly of me to think so. But I really hope you will love it just like I do, despite its faults. Let it into your life. Let it hold you dearly and closely and shove you off a cliff into an abyss of pain and agony. Just let yourself be taken over and haunted and possessed by Hanako-kun, please. Aww. I can only promise good things will happen to you.
I love that tie-in. Let yourself be haunted by Hanako. I would. I'm 100% in for that.
I would love that. He's so funny. I would probably die a lot younger, but I don't care. Put me out of my misery. I would rather Hanako-kun take me than the coronavirus.
Oh my god. Yo, I'd just be like, Hanako, what are we having for dinner tonight? And then he'd get his knife and he'd be like, udon, with that face.
Kitsune udon.
That'd be my favorite thing, kitsune udon. Awesome.
Yeah, I have a lot of unabashed love for this show, and I can't give it anything less than that. It's just perfect for me. It's perfect for Cassie. Mm-hmm. It makes Cassie happy in the bleak, terrible year that has been 2020.
Yeah.
And I'll probably be rewatching it for years to come, hoping and praying for a season 2 and freaking out every time a new chapter drops and praying that I don't get spoiled by the 16 different Hanako-kun blogs that I follow on Tumblr or Twitter or whatever. You know, it's that show for me, and everybody gets one once every, 5 to 10 years.
Hey, I think everybody gets 5. Let's love shit, man.
Yeah. I think that I've become bitter, throughout the years. Things that I would have loved years ago just don't just don't do it for me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's why Hanako-kun is so great, is because it's so unique. It's so different. There's nothing else like it. And I implore you to, if you're not going to read the manga, even though I've begged on my knees, check out the show. You might love it as much as I do. And if not, you'll at least get a little bit of a fun treat.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. Do it for Cassie. Do it for her.
Maybe that's what this episode should be called. Do it for Cassie.
Do it for Cassie. My friend Suki actually made Lily a magnet that's that, you know, that Simpsons board that's like, do it for her. And it's like all the pictures of the baby. She made one that has my face all over it.
Okay, I have seen it because I saw that edit. I think it was back when we were doing your birthday MEP, and I was like, I'm gonna edit with Hanako-kun, and then she sent me that. I did not realize she made it a freaking magnet. That is incredible.
She made it into a magnet. It is on our fridge.
That is so incredible. Oh my lord.
Suki commits to the bit. Suki commits in general, and she's a precious treasure that none of us deserve, and yet she's still here.
It's so true. It's so very true.
But yeah, so I hope you guys have enjoyed our review. I guess we'll slip very quickly into well, heck, we have time. We've only been recording for like an hour or so.
Hell yeah.
So we can talk for a little or a long time about some spoilers. But before we go ahead and do that, I will drop you our social links. If you want to follow us or talk to us in short form, there is our Twitter, twitter.com/AnnieChatbox. Craig manages that, and he is very prompt in returning replies. If you do want to go ahead and add us, please add us. Yeah. Please at me if you read the Hanako-kun manga.
Yes.
If you'd like to talk to us in long form, write us a really long scathing review about how we never follow up on our Patreon promises and how we're really trying to do that now, please write us a scathing review. It'll set the fire under our asses quicker than I will. If you're listening to us on one thing, you can listen to us on many others. We are on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Spotify, and the YouTubes. And if you'd like to throw a little bit of money our way, we have a Patreon at patreon.com/AnnieChatbox. We are actually working pretty hard to basically return on our promises of content. We have a lot of stuff that is in progress, and we're just going to drop it all at once and wow everyone. So if you want to be one of those people who's going to get a big old gift box before Christmas this year, then you should totally throw a couple bucks our way at Patreon. We do have some current patrons who are wonderful and great and keep the lights on and give us pretty microphones and other things that we need to keep this podcast going, and they include Sarah, CorpsyAnn, Carol, Suki, Paul, TroubleClef, and John. And if you never get enough, yes. And if you greatly miss Craig this week, you can go and listen to him at soundcloud.com/saveourprogress. I don't think he actually is on their most recent episode, but he's on all the other ones. Yeah. Occasionally him and Zach do anime movie nights, and it's pretty entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, gonna roll right into the spoiler room and give Cammy the floor because I've been talking for a while.
Yes, you deserve a bit of reprieve. I ship Mitsuba and Ko, really. like
I do too.
Like it again, it's like I know that there has to be more to it, but even just like with episode, I don't know, like 8 or something, I was just like, oh, my feelings. Oh, beautiful children. I ship you.
You see? This is another thing that I get to go, oh, I can't wait for you to read the manga.
Yeah.
Because there's so many more juicy, like, not even like juicy, like smexy, but like juicy as in my heart is about to fall apart scenes with Ko and Mitsuba. And they set up in the manga that definitely the most important person to Ko is probably Mitsuba. And likewise with Hanako and Yashiro. Like, they are very important to each other, and I definitely ship. I stan the Mitsuba X Ko.
Yes, it's good stuff. I'm excited to see more of it. And I think I always knew that might have been it, because you would retweet a lot of art, and I did see how it's like when it was the 4 of them, you'd have kind of parallel art sometimes of Hanako and Yashiro, and then of Mitsuba and Ko, and I was just like, I think I'm gonna like this. And I do.
Oh, it's good. They're good. You know when we did that human, that human edit I did, originally I wanted to try and do a Mitsuba and Ko, like, MMV, because that's all Mitsuba wants.
That hurts me.
But I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it in 3 days, but I wanted to so bad.
Oh my god. Like, I think I loved it as soon as, like, as soon as Ko is just like, you're loud, you're annoying, you're cocky, you're this. That's what I'm gonna tell people when they ask what Mitsuba is like. And I was just like, feeling.
And then he's like, and he's also my friend.
He's my friend. And then when he found out, he took the picture of him and he cried. I was just like, God.
Because he's like, oh, what'd you take a picture of? Oh, just something important to me, I guess.
It was so good and sad. It was so good and sad.
It
I love it.
hurt.
I love it.
It hurt so good.
Yes.
Come on, babe, and make me hurt so good.
Like, this show just gave me so many good dokis. Like, those two gave me dokis, and then, like, I kept screen capping you from when I was watching last night, and, like, every single time that Yashiro and Hanako, like, hug or have a moment, my heart just, like, swells with good feelings. I think the peak was probably episode 5. I just... he puts his hat down and then he's just like, I'm really sorry, I'll stay with you.
Yeah.
They're so cute.
They're so cute. And I like that he's very slowly, like, letting her in on stuff. Like, at first it was almost like as a ploy to keep her away from him, like with the whole, oh, I guess you could be friends with murderers too, isn't that nice? And then towards the end it's more like, I don't want you to go away, and I'm gonna take my time, and hopefully you'll still like me.
And I do love the dynamic that you mentioned, which is just that, like, obviously he doesn't say it and he teases, but, like, you just know straight away, like, how much he loves her. And she is, like, doing the stupid protagonist thing where it's kind of, like, slowly building up, even though she, like, won't acknowledge it because she has she has such picky, like, visual taste and looks at people, which is funny. I love the dynamic of them. And again, like, basically I wasn't sure if we wanted to count it as a spoiler or not in the beginning, but I just like how they're not afraid to be like, yeah, no, there's romantic feelings between these two. We don't need to pull the will they, won't they for a million episodes. Like, I like that. It's very refreshing. Will it be able to work out? Probably not, but I'm glad that we're not being like, wait, what are feelings? Why I blush when I get hug? You know, like just a lot of other shows do.
Yeah.
In a pace that's more agonizing. It just feels very, what's the word I'm looking for? It just feels very rewarding to watch the two of them. It doesn't feel like I'm being tormented by either the writer or the producers to just, like, wait forever for something to happen. So yes, I love them.
Yeah, I love them too.
Yeah.
I love them a whole lot. I ship them so hard. So hard. I want everyone to be happy, and there's no way that most of them are going to be, and it makes me sad.
I need to learn more about Tsukasa too. That's another thing that I'm interested in for the manga. 'Cause
soft spoiler. Me too, because, like, the manga still hasn't really given me a whole. Like, it has, but it hasn't. Like, you get some more scenes with Tsukasa in the manga, and there's more, like, I guess, like, foreshadowing, but we still, like, as of right now, I'm on, like, chapter 60-something, and we still don't know, like, how Hanako killed him, or why, or what their relationship was really like, outside of, like, small nods, and I'm like, give me the juicy shit, please. I need to know.
Well, yeah, and they just present it as something with all this depth behind it. Like, you can just see it in the way, like, Hanako basically just completely seizes up and reacts a certain way when he sees him. It actually reminded me a lot of, like, when Yuki would see Akito in, like, early Fruits Basket. And I'm just like, this hurt. This hurt.
Yeah, there's definitely some trauma there. And I feel like, okay, I'm just speculating, but, like, the early Hanako-kun stuff or the stuff with Amane, with, like, his real name, Amane as a younger kid is always covered in, like, cuts and bruises, and he's not willing to tell his teacher who or why or what's going on.
Yeah.
And then you've got that scene where Tsukasa shows up and he's like, we should play how we used to. And I'm like,
no.
I'm drawing some very frightening things from this, but I don't know if they're right. I have no clue.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, that's another scene that, made me feel a lot of feelings with Yashiro, is when she walked in and saw, beat up Amane and is like, wait, you're crying, and she's, holding his arms, and he's crying and blushing, and he runs away, and I was like, I can't. And then the after credits little thing, when it's showing the manga panels, and he runs away, and he's like, that girl, she had really fat legs or whatever, and he's blushing. I lost my shit. I laughed so hard. Oh my god.
The fat daikon legs was so stupid.
Yeah. No, and I'm always just like, no, she's cute. She just have cute, cartoony body style, but they just, lean so hard into it. Even though I think what's a lot more of something that you could tease Nene about was that, deep secret where she, wrote letters to a pretend boyfriend. It still does. Oh my god. That was hilarious.
I love that, it was, what's his name? Ko's big brother, and Ko's just like, wait, you've been writing letters to my brother? What? Ko is so stupid. I love him.
Oh my god. Oh, I love the little twist, too, when Ko helps her make donuts, and he, faked being bad at cooking, and I was like,
yeah,
such a mega sweetheart. I love Ko.
He's a good boy. He obviously has a crush on Yashiro too, which makes me feel kind of sad because I'm like, man, he's a better choice because he's alive.
He can. I think he's just opening up to his bisexuality, and I think that they'll both, if anything, end up being allies in the fact that they're pining over someone that they can't have.
Ouchies.
Yeah. No, they'll be roommates. They'll be roommates in college. It'll be great. It'll be great.
And they'll just be like, well, I can't move on.
Ooh, now I'm just getting okay. I can't, if I keep going down this rabbit hole, it's gonna get really dark. But yes,
there's a really funny Ko-image that I have, but I need you to find out a twist with a certain character in the show before I can show it to you. But there's a really funny Ko picture that I have saved.
Yes.
It's very funny. And you'll get really mad when you see it. I can't wait. It's going to be great.
God damn it. I'm excited. I'm excited. And I want to, understand Mitsuba more. Because, I don't dislike Mitsuba. I just need to know more about him and have more time with him. There were some times that I thought he was really funny, when he just especially when Yashiro's just oh, he's so cute. He's a prince, or he's my darling, Kohai, and then he just says something insulting, and I was like, oh, that's good shit.
Or she'll turn her back on him, and he'll make faces at him.
I love that. I love little shit side, and I want to see more of him. I think really at this point, I'm just curious about how much of his personality right now is the Mitsuba from episode 8, and how much of it is new Mitsuba or recreated Mitsuba. So that's where I need to get more. But I also enjoy his character. I enjoy everybody a lot.
I do too. They're so good. I love them. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait for you to read the manga, and hopefully I'll just get random IMs screaming, because that's what I was doing to Rin.
Probably. I think I can promise you that, especially since I gave you all those screen caps. And I'm really glad that you laughed about Tsukasa being into Vor, by the way.
He would be.
You know what?
Tsukasa's just about into anything as long as it causes someone uncomfortable feelings.
You know what? He definitely is, because of that thing with the goldfish, and then he had to take this fucking creature's heart and stuff it down poor Mitsuba's throat. So yeah, I'm calling it.
Say,
Oh, God. My God. I'm just mad.
God.
I'm just mad at the moments where I really enjoy Tsukasa, because I'm just but also you're just... But when he's talking about smooches tasting like lemons and he's acting like a cat, I'm like, you're so funny. You're a disaster. absolute disaster.
I think one of the most spine-chilling moments for me with him was when he almost, like, smashed Yashiro's face into the pavement and then was like, oh, wait, you're supposed to treat girls nicely.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, that was chilling. I'm so scared of you.
Yeah. When he... there's a lot of that. Like, when he basically flips from that complete, like, violence to, like, nurturing, I'm using giant air quotes, and even the way that, in the same way, Mitsuba is, like, there are times when Mitsuba's, like, super, super clingy to Tsukasa or, like, cries, and he's like, oh, you can't do anything on your own. I'm just like, this is big scary.
This is making me feel icky.
Yeah, icky. Very icky. Very, very icky squicky. So, yeah. In other terms of spoilers, I don't think there's a whole bunch. I mostly just wanted more of a free chance to talk about Ko and Mitsuba, which was granted, and talk about how cute Yashiro and Hanako are, and Tsukasa, and I want to know more about Sakura as well. So yeah,
me too.
Damn it. Damn it. Either way.
Oh, we never talked about fucking orange-haired boy. I can't remember his name.
Oh,
he's
you're
in
talking
the
shitty
broadcast room.
Yatsuhiko or whatever, the shitty one?
Yeah,
yes.
That guy. He's the only character that I'm like, man, I could do without you.
Yeah,
like,
I'm
he's
very
funny, but like he's just there.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's very take or leave. Also, just like, how does Yashiro think he's cute, but then doesn't think Hanako's cute? I'm like, your standards are a little weird. Like,
I think it's because he's tall and
right.
has like flippy hair. And
flippy hair.
Hanako is short and has a bowl cut.
His bowl cut is the cutest fucking thing, though. I will take a bowl cut if you take one of those old, like, hats. Those, like, old Japanese, like, funky-looking hats. That can transform a bowl cut. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I also like how his hair is so, like, misshapenly cut. It's very cute. I just love his design. I love the little seal on his face. Oh, that's another, like, random, like, conspiracy theory that I've been tossing back and forth with Rin, is that all of the, Yorishiros, or whatever they're called, the things that, like, break in somebody's boundary.
Yeah.
They're always, like, the black seal that, like, Hanako has on his face, but white, but Tsukasa has a black one. And I'm like,
Oh.
Oh my God. I wonder. It's just a theory, but I'm like, what if Tsukasa's the most important thing to him? But why, though? And why did he only show up now? And why does Hanako seem very confused to him existing? And... Yeah, and then I just sit there for hours in bed looking at fan fiction, and I'm like, everything in my life has gone out of control, and this is all I have left.
Was that the fan fiction you were reading a couple days ago? Was Hanako?
Oh, I read a bunch of Hanako. It's the only
yeah.
fan fiction I read anymore.
I should have figured that, but when you told me, you were just like, yeah, I took some time off to read fan fiction, I was like, oh, great, I wonder what she was reading, and now I know. I got it.
It all makes sense now.
It does all make sense
the
now.
stars align.
Yes. But yeah, I think that is about it for me. My quarantine brain is kicking in, as it usually does.
Yeah. But yeah, it was fun having you. I'm happy we got to talk about Hanako. Thank you for suggesting it, you beautiful, intelligent woman.
Of course. Happy to. A happy Cassie equals a happy Cammy and a happy world. So hell yeah, I'm always down for this.
Yeah, girl, yeah. All right, let's get out of here. Oyasumi.
Hi.